All right, imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a brand new world. It's a multi-million-dollar market just full of opportunity, but it's also packed with hidden dangers. You're a corporate giant, you're ready to expand your empire. But how do you take that very first, super critical step without completely stumbling? Well, that's the story we're going to dive into today.
You know, it's a question every ambitious leader has to face. When you've got the resources to go pretty much anywhere, how do you pick the right path? How do you conquer a new territory, not with just brute force, but with real intelligence?
Because let's be honest, in today's complex global economy, the most successful moves aren't made by the biggest players. They're made by the smartest. Success comes from this deep, data-driven understanding of the landscape before you even set foot on the ground.
So, our story kicks off with a major Asian conglomerate. We're talking about a massive company, a really diverse portfolio, and they had this new, incredibly bold ambition. They wanted to break into the highly technical and, let's face it, very lucrative market of cell imaging and analysis.
So what is that exactly? Well, think of it as the absolute cutting edge of medical research. We're talking about these unbelievably sophisticated tools, things like high-content screening systems, cell analyzers, flow cytometers, that are just essential for drug discovery and diagnostics. This was a high-tech, high-stakes game, no question.
But here was the problem. Entering this field was kind of like trying to navigate a dense jungle without a map. The tech is complex, the competition is fierce, and making one wrong move could mean wasting millions of dollars and years of effort. Seriously, put yourself in their shoes for a second. You've got the capital, you've got the ambition, but you also have this long list of critical, unanswered questions. Where do you even start? How do you possibly turn all that uncertainty into a confident decision?
And these weren't just small details either. They were grappling with huge unknowns. Like, what's the actual size of this market? Who are the dominant players we be up against? And what do the end users, the scientists in the labs, what do they truly need from these tools? Without answers, any investment would just be a blind gamble. They needed a playbook. And that's exactly what they decided to build. Instead of just guessing, they committed to doing a comprehensive market assessment, a real deep dive designed to replace all their assumptions with cold, hard facts, and turn that fog of uncertainty into a crystal-clear strategic advantage.
Okay, let's dive into this process, because it's actually brilliant in its structure. First, market sizing. They got a real number on the size of the opportunity. Second, competitive intelligence. They mapped out who's out there and what they're up to. Third, dynamic analysis. They forecasted future growth all the way out to 2030. And finally, and this is key, they bundled it all into actionable intelligence.
And this is where the story gets really interesting. Once they had all that data, the map of this new world started to take shape. And what it revealed was that not all regions were created equal, not even close.
Now, what's so fascinating here is the stark contrast it paints. The US market, it was the current leader, driven by massive R&D spending. The EU was steady, more focused on regulation. But the real surprise, the real eye-opener, was the Asia-Pacific region, or APAC. And this chart just brilliantly illustrates the crucial point. While North America was the biggest market today, the data clearly, undeniably forecasted that the Asia-Pacific region was the future engine of growth. It was all being driven by expanding healthcare access and a ton of new investment. This single insight, well, it was about to change everything.
So look, having data is one thing, but actually using it to make smarter decisions, that's what creates a true competitive edge. Let's see how this company took these findings and completely transformed their go-to-market strategy.
First off, they threw out their generic one-size-fits-all goals. Instead, they set specific, realistic key performance indicators, or KPIs, that were tailored to each region. All of a sudden, sales targets in the mature US market looked completely different from, say, brand awareness goals in the high-growth APAC market. They were finally speaking the language of each unique territory.
Next, their sales approach became surgical. Because they now understood the unique pain points of the scientists and researchers in each country, they could tailor their messaging perfectly. They stopped just selling a device and started selling a specific solution to a specific problem. It's a game changer.
And maybe most importantly, they optimized their investment. No more spreading resources thinly across the globe and just hoping something would stick. They could now confidently funnel their budgets into the specific regions and the specific device types that the data proved would deliver the maximum return.
So let's zoom out for a second.
This isn't just a story about one company or one specific market. It's a really powerful illustration of what it takes to win in pretty much any competitive field today. It's all about making informed, strategic decisions.
And that right there really is the modern competitive edge. It doesn't matter if you're in tech, healthcare, or any other industry. The path to leadership is paved with data. You have to be agile enough to adapt, informed enough to see what's coming, and user-focused enough to deliver what people actually need.
And that brings us to the final thought for today. I want you to think about your own work, your own ambitions. What's the one big, unanswered question that you're facing right now? And what if, just like the company in our story, the right data could give you the map you